So moving on to the second part of the presentation. The first part is, how does interbeing relate to joy? The second part is, how do we really deeply understand interbeing or come to terms with it? What does it look like? So this is a sort of visual demonstration on the nature of interbeing. First, we start with this point that experience is differentiated. It is what it is by differing from what it's not. That is the uniqueness of moments. So to be me as a kid is to not be me as a toddler, which is, to be me as an adult is not to be me as a toddler. To be me as an older adult is not to be me as a younger adult. To be me as an elderly is not to be me as the earlier version. So each time we leave a moment, we are not that previous moment. We are defined by how we are in contrast to what we're not. That's and then we're dead. And then it's like, oh, what happens? Well, from the individual time span, it's a little hard to think about. Maybe just whiteness or blankness. But we need to think a little more deeply than that. Who are we ultimately? So if we go back before the expression of ourselves as this human, we came from the Big Bang, right? Or whatever that original moment was. We expanded from there. That's what held our identity. That's what held our selfhood at that moment in time. So we're just expanding our timeline here. And that then became the Earth. But that didn't just only become the Earth. It also became Saturn and Mars and Neptune and all the other planets. It also became all of the other galaxies and stars. And then the Earth became this you. But when we're thinking about space, we want to think of space as just as connected as time. So we thus far, we were talking about time as this sort of process connecting just the individual. Who was I? Okay, I came from the Earth, I came from the cosmos. We're sort of limiting it to a single spatial timeline. And we're putting moments of ourself across that spatial timeline. Okay, I was a kid, I was then an adult, and then I was an elderly adult. To be each one, I had to not be the previous one. We're just considering that in one axis of space. That's sort of this happening. The moment occurring is shifting across time along this one axis of space. Okay, but there is many spaces, this whole continuous fabric, right? There's the axis of space that is just my life experience, but then there's all the other space that exists as well. That space is fully connected. So that's sort of what this looks like. We have the instances of self across time, but we also have instances of self across space. And those instances are the instances of other people, other animals, etc. Wherever a conscious, sentient expression of life happens, that is held in this connected fabric of space. So we would also think that the moment occurring isn't just shifting across time. The particular moment that happens, it is also shifting across space, right? So where that moment is, this particular moment is progressing across space, we could say, in a similar way that it progresses across time. So here's another way of illustrating that from the first person perspective. We have our experience, but if we just move on to the next moment of our own experience without acknowledging that the universe has manifested as the experience of every other individual, we're sort of denying their experience. So what we could think of as happening is our experience is happening, and then the universe is particularizing itself into every other experience too. Then our next experience happens. And at the same time that that experience happens, the universe is also particularizing itself into each other one. And each one is what it is by differing from the previous one, which is why we can't just smush all of those into one, right? Just like we can't smush our whole timeline of our individual self To be my older self, I have to not be my younger self. Similarly, for the universe to be myself as Bob, it has to not be myself as Thomas. So we can imagine it particularizing into me, and then boom, boom. I don't know, this is actually a female. So if I'm saying me, this is maybe a different version of me as Sue. So it's me as Sue, and then it's me as Jane, and then it's me as Bob, and so on, so on, and so on. All right. So that's kind of cool. It's like thinking of a galactic journey happening in the snap of a finger. So every moment, boom, we can imagine the universe, your ultimate identity, going through the whole cosmos of beings, billions of moments of experience in the snap of a finger, every moment, right now, right now. That's incredible. You're taking this huge galactic journey. And then coming back to yourself and coming back to your own memory, you think, oh, I've always just been this particular individual. You only have access to that timeline. But really, all of these individuals are happening at once. So Voltaire has a quote here: God is a circle whose center is everywhere and circumference is nowhere. Thought that was nicely applicable in terms of the center of experience shifting across space as it shifts across time, being sort of the description of what interbeing entails. And from Carl Sagan, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. So I want to wrap up there and say I am pleased to be you. Thank you for taking your time to expand yourself with me. And I am pleased to be you and for you to be me. We are both this totality expressing itself as each other. That's a great relationship to have, a great sense of kinship. I wish I could see you in the eyes and feel that as I'm talking. But whoever you are out there watching this, thank you for watching it. And I'm pleased to be you, and may your day be full of loving awareness and lighthearted laughters. And a thank you to Dr. Lisa Miller, who is my advisor at Columbia University, the Miller Lab, who's been extremely supportive, my colleagues, the Interbeing Lab group, who supported me so much over the years, and my amazing partner, Sophie Whitney, and all of my family and friends. And I hope you guys have a great day.